Real adventure will be in the data they sent back. Hidden within the numbers will be answers that reach far beyond Earth, shedding light on how atmospheres throughout the universe change, evolve, and perhaps support life.
Welcome back to another edition of Game Day U. Excuse me, I'm Ashley Vandevelde, and after a bye week, I am back with my right-hand girl, Carly Murray, and we have Parker Abels and Jimmy Wicks joining us from Ames, where the Sooners face the Cyclones today. And Oklahoma got back on track 2 weeks ago after a 3-game losing skid. The Sooners' offense soared against Kansas, leading to a 52-42 win over the Jayhawks. Dillon Gabriel passed for 403 yards and 2 touchdowns, returning from concussion protocol to spearhead the Sooner win. Oklahoma's 487 yards in the first half were the second most gained in a half in school history. Eric Gray roared on the rushing front, running for 176 yards, and Marvin Mims completed a career-high 9 receptions for 106 yards. Braden Willis also had 5 catches for a career-best 102 yards. This last game was so impressive offensively for Oklahoma. We just heard those stats, and this team is different with Dillon Gabriel fronting it, Carly.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I was really impressed with this one. There were so many notable things about the offense. The 701 total yards, ran 100 offensive plays, 2 running backs had 2 TDs, and 2 wide receivers had 100-yard games. And it was Braden Willis's first, like you mentioned.
Now we're going to toss it up north to Ames. Parker, Jimmy, what do you think of the Sooners so far this season?
Hi, I'm Parker Abels.
And I'm Jimmy Wicks.
And welcome to Ames, Iowa. It's a chilly one here today, but that doesn't matter because here in a little bit, the Oklahoma Sooners are taking on the Iowa State Cyclones here at Jack Trice Stadium. Well, it's been an up and down season for the Sooners. They started off 3-0, and then they dropped 3 straight, but now they're looking to win their 2nd straight here in Iowa today, and we'll see how that goes.
And just like the weather outside, both teams are cold in Big 12 play, combining for a 1-7 record. But a win today could get both teams back on track.
Ashley, back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, guys. Now we're going to touch on what we each see coming from the Sooners' performance today against Iowa State. I want to touch on how critical Dillon Gabriel is to the productivity of this team. If he can have any type of game today like he had against Kansas, the Sooners have a good chance of winning. Teammate Braden Willis praises Gabriel's work ethic and says his bounce back was no surprise.
Not surprised at all. That's just the type of guy he is, you know. I mean, he's one of those guys that stays in the facility probably the longest, you know, him and Justin Broyles, you know. They stay in the facility, they're film junkies, they're up there all day preparing, so it really doesn't surprise me at all that he could come back and, you know, have a performance like that. It's just, you know, it's just a matter of time.
Eric Gray has been the most impactful skill player on the offense. Against Kansas, Gray rushed for 176 yards, his career high as a Sooner, and rushed for 2 TDs and averaged 8.8 yards per carry. He currently ranks #1 in the country with 7.2 yards per carry. Jeff Lebby says Gray has done a great job of reading defenses. He makes linebackers miss as well as breaking tackles in the secondary.
Yeah, you know, I think as much as any time this year, he won at the 2nd and 3rd level. You know, he was able to win his one-on-ones. Thought big boys in perimeter did a really good job getting him into space, and then Eric did a great job of winning his matchups, which was great to see.
Now we're going to toss it up to the guys in Ames to see what they are expecting as the Sooners take on the Cyclones.
The OU offense is a big challenge today, taking on that Iowa State defense. The Cyclones lead the Big 12 in total defense, and Brent Venables knows he has to put on a good performance in order to take them down.
They got the top defense in the conference. I think they're 6th in the country in scoring defense. They've done a fabulous job in the unique scheme that they have. I think they, for the categories that they lead the Big 12, that nobody's done that maybe ever or in some time in the Big 12, being #1 in the 4 major categories.
This Iowa State squad has had an unfortunate start in the Big 12 play, but Jeff Lebby warns them about this talented defense and what they have to bring to the table.
Played really, really well. really defensively have given them a chance to win every single game they've played. So just a ton of respect for how they play, the way they play, how well they're coached, and be a great challenge for us on the road this weekend.
Despite Iowa State having a bad year, it's good to see that Jeff Lebby isn't taking this Iowa State Cyclone squad lightly.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Dylan Gabriel faces that fierce defense. Ashley?
Thanks, guys. Now Dakota McDowell-Wapakichi is out in front of a game day staple in Norman. Dakota?
Yeah, Ashley, I'll have more about this longtime Norman legend with rich history. Don't go away. Game Day U will be right back.
Your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane. You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Meet the Scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back to Game Day U. I'm Ashley Vandevelde, and here alongside me is Carly Murray. Now we're going to hear from Dakota McDowell-Wapakichi on what a game day tradition means in Norman. Dakota?
Yeah, in 2008, O'Connell's had to move over to Campus Corner, leaving its longtime home on Lindsay Street, but it still retains the memories. I spoke with Jeff Stewart, the owner and general manager, about the place and many things surrounding it. Here's an inside look at a game day staple.
And that's the roof line of the old store. The very original sign, when I bought it, is right here. That's a Dad's Day and the flow of people over to O'Connell's.
The history is on the walls, from Rolling Stones to its regulars. O'Connell's Irish Pub has been around since 1968. Jeff Stewart, the owner and general manager since 1978, says it has been a great ride, full of memories, even starting on the day he was asked if he wanted to purchase the bar.
Just sounded kind of exciting when the guy called me and said, would you be interested in purchasing O'Connell's? I'd already worked with him before in another situation, and said, yeah, why not?
No, O'Connell's has not always been in its current location on Campus Corner. Instead, it was located on the southeast corner of Lindsay and Jenkins, just across the street from the football stadium. Stewart says he keeps the memories of the old location displayed and memorialized in the newer spot, just like the moose that's on the wall inside the restaurant.
Well, the moose has been there since I've been there. So we thought we better have a moose here. So we got this moose out of Schenectady, New York.
As he continues his journey of running this long-time established hangout spot, he hopes to keep the memories flowing for others, as they have to him for the last 43 years.
Warmth, history, and tradition, it's a nice casual feel. That's the best thing about it.
Now, I don't think you were supposed to see that moose there, but if you're looking for a nice place to enjoy a game day atmosphere, there are many places open on Campus Corner, but there's none like the history at O'Connell's and also that moose that's on the wall. Reporting from Campus Corner in Norman, Dakota McDowell, Wapakichi, Game Day U.
Thanks, Dakota. And now our Stone Weber went one-on-one with defensive back Woody Washington from Big 12 Media Days.
The 2022 season begins a new era for OU football under new head coach Brent Venables. I got a chance to catch up with OU cornerback Woody Washington, and he touched on what it's been like playing under a defensive-minded coach.
We've never had a defensive-minded coach, so for us to eventually get one, I think it's going to be great for the defense and great for the program.
Being a veteran on this OU defense, Washington sees a need to step up in this new system.
I think I kind of took on one last year. I know I got hurt and didn't play much. But just from the sidelines, I led as much as I could. But this year, I think it's a little different because I'm like the leader in the group.
The cornerback has SEC ties, and he explained what that means for OU.
Definitely, I love that move because, I mean, I've been watching SEC ball my whole entire life, and for the school that I went to be able to play in that conference is definitely great.
Washington and the OU defense look to get back on track after finishing 6th in the Big 12 in total defense. Reporting from AT&T Stadium, Stone Weber, OU Nightly.
Carly, Washington is definitely a self-starter deep for the Sooners this season.
Yeah, he has 27 tackles on the season, so he's doing good.
Let's hear from Parker and Jimmy on their thoughts.
Woody Washington's leadership and talent has been essential this year in Brent Venables' defense, especially in the Big 12 with all these high-flying offenses.
And with Billy Bowman out, Washington has had to step up both on and off the field. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about Iowa State and the rest of the Big 12. So stay tuned.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Central and Midwestern U.S. averages more than 850 tornadoes each year, and lately, the number of floods has been rising in the region too. So chances are, there will be more twisters and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are, you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Welcome back to Game Day U. If you're just joining us, I'm Ashley Vandevelde alongside Carly Murray, and we have Parker Abels and Jimmy Wicks in Ames, Iowa. But now it's time to cover the Cyclones as the Sooners go head-to-head in Iowa today. This Cyclone team ranks dead last in the Big 12 on offense, so it will be up to the Sooners defense to at least show some semblance of what they did against KU a couple weeks ago. And then you flip the script, and Iowa State is ranked first in defense in the conference, but I still believe that the Sooners are talented enough on both sides of the ball to defeat the Cyclones.
Yeah, this Iowa State defense is dominant. They rank #1 in the Big 12 in just about every category: scoring defense, total defense, rushing defense, and passing defense, allowing 15 points per game. This defense will be a huge test for Dylan Gabriel and the Sooners. I'm interested to see how they respond. I'll have more on that coming up.
Once again, Parker, Jimmy, what are your thoughts on this Iowa State team?
And just like Oklahoma, Iowa State had a great non-conference start, going 3-0, but in the Big 12 play, Iowa State is 0-4 and lost all of their games by just one possession.
Yeah, but despite the record, Jack Trice Stadium is always a tough place to play. This could end up being the hardest environment OU plays all year. They're going to be electric, they're going to be loud, and they're going to show up for their team. And Jeff Lebby's going to have a good game plan in order to score on this Iowa State defense. Well, Ashley, I hear you have more on a certain Iowa State star.
That's right, Parker. And now our own Hallie Moss has what to expect from one of Iowa State's greatest offensive weapons, Xavier Hutchinson.
Even with the departure of Brock Purdy and Breece Hall, there is still a shining star on the Iowa State offense. Senior wide receiver Xavier Hutchinson, an NFL draft prospect, led the Big 12 in receptions last year and is looking to improve his game one catch at a time.
My goal is every single year is just to beat whatever I did last year. So, you know, if that's 86 catches, 87 catches, if that's 988, if that's 6 touchdowns, you know, I consider that a successful career because I beat what I did last year. So.
Hutchinson was used to playing with Purdy, but has no worries about new quarterback Hunter Decker.
I think Hunter's terrific. He's a guy who can sling the ball anywhere and everywhere he needs it to be. He has exceptional arm talent. He can throw the ball deep with ease. So, you know, just seeing that growth in him, you know, that's a receiver's dream to be able to be there.
As for the future, Xavier says he's happy with wherever he ends up as long as he's playing football. But being back home in Florida would be a plus. Reporting from AT&T Stadium, Hallie Moss, Game Day U.
Now let's jump into what else is going on across the Big 12 Conference. I'm looking forward to watching Baylor at Texas Tech, mainly because the Sooners play the Bears next week in Norman, and the Bears have been middle of the pack this season when it comes to offense, so OU will be facing 2 defensive-heavy teams this week and the next.
Yeah, the Big 12 is just a gauntlet this season. It's been really fun to watch. Now, I talked about Iowa State's defense. Let's go to the offense. They've really struggled since Brock Purdy left. They rank 103 in scoring offense, and the Cyclones have failed to score a touchdown on 18 straight possessions in their past 3 games.
18 straight possessions, that is a lot. But Parker and Jimmy, what games are you all looking at?
Yeah, guys, and we're going to break down a couple of key Big 12 matchups for today. For me, I'm going to go with Oklahoma State traveling up to Manhattan, Kansas to take on the Kansas State Wildcats. Both teams only have 1 loss in conference play, so a win today could set them up to be Big 12 champions.
And speaking of those losses, who did they lose to? TCU. They head up to West Virginia to face the Mountaineers. And QB Max Duggan is 0-3 against West Virginia in his career. Can he get over the hump? But when we come back, the in-studio team breaks down OU's matchup with Iowa State.
Is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Back again here on Game Day U, and it's time to break down Oklahoma as it takes the field in Ames today. I'm looking to see at least decent defense from the Sooners. They looked better last week, allowing KU to score 430 total yards of offense, which is still better compared to the 585 yards of offense the Sooners allowed Texas to put up. It was apparent in the 3 games OU lost that defense was a key thorn in their side. It's going to be extra important as the guys get further into difficult Big 12 play that the defense starts to play better. Like we've mentioned, Iowa State ranks last in the Big 12 in offense, so if the Sooners can't hold the Cyclones, they definitely have a large problem on their hands.
I'm really interested to see Jeff Lebby's game plan. The Cyclones allow 4.89 yards per play. They're ranked 15th against the run at 105.3 yards per game and 16th against the pass at 184.4 yards per game. Iowa State drops 8 players into coverage, making it hard for offenses to run the ball, and they give less space for receivers to run. So what's the game plan for the Sooners? The ground game, the wideouts? I wish I had access to the playbook.
Parker, Jimmy, what are you guys thinking?
We mentioned earlier the Cyclones have an exceptional run defense, which means the wide receivers are going to have to step up. Marvin Mims and Theo Weiss need to have big games in order to get a win today. They're going to need to get off the line quick, and it's key that Dillon Gabriel is able to hit them in stride.
Through the ups and downs of this season, one thing has remained constant: the offensive line. Whether it is carrying Eric Gray to lead the country in yards per carry or protecting Dillon Gabriel in his efficient season this far, this O-line group has established the line of scrimmage and really helped this OU squad.
I'm predicting a tough 4-quarter game for the Sooners, but I do think they're going to win 24-20. They're not going to score as much as they normally would when in a win, but this Iowa State defense is going to hold them. They still get the win.
Yeah, Parker, I'm going to agree with you there. I think this Iowa State defense is solid at all 3 levels, really going to slow down the pace of the game. But I still have OU winning this game 28-20.
Well, that's all with the time we have here in Ames. For Jimmy Wicks, I'm Parker Abels. Back to you girls in the studio.
Carly, I'm going with the guys. I think the Sooners are going to win, but it's going to be tight. I'm picking Oklahoma to win 27-21.
I can't believe you guys think that Iowa State's going to put up some offense. I have 21-6 Oklahoma.
I don't trust the Sooners defense, unfortunately. And up next, there's plenty of other college football to break down. We've got all you need to know on the top games across the country coming up.
To Sofia and Gabriel. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love. These stitches and threads join us together. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckle tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Central and Midwestern U.S. averages more than 850 tornadoes each year, and lately, the number of floods has been rising in the region too. So chances are, there will be more twisters and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are, you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are, they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Family's visit to the forest inspired a beautiful question. Mother, mother, am I a tree? You tell me to stand tall. You tell me to stay rooted. I think I am a tree. My child, of course you are. But what kind of tree will you be? The kind to hug or the kind to climb? Doesn't matter which you choose, so long as you choose to be a tree that's kind.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes.
Make a plan today.
Welcome back to Game Day U. I'm Ashley Vandevelde, joined now by Blake Mullen, Hallie Moss, and Dylan Rivera. And it's time to get into what's happening across the national college football landscape. We're going to start off with Kentucky, who is looking to upset the undefeated Tennessee Volunteers. So, guys, will the Wildcats pull it off?
If you want to talk about just an insane atmosphere, this is the game for you. This is going to be the game where it's like, wow, I am watching because of the uniforms. I'm watching because of everything that's going on. And have you seen those uniforms, the blackout?
They're great. I mean, I loved the baby blue Kansas ones from 2 weeks ago, but those top it.
Yeah, they are absolutely ridiculous. And, you know, they're not even the craziest thing that's going to be on the field. It's Hendon Hooker. That offense is absolutely electric, putting up over 50 points per game, and they are elite. The thing I want to watch, though, is the run defense for Tennessee. They rank second in the SEC, very good. But they're playing against Chris Rodriguez Jr., who's coming off a 197-yard game. Let's see how that one goes. I'm taking Tennessee, but this is going to be a lot closer than people think.
I'm with you. They're on a high, and they are not coming down. I mean, like you said, Hendon Hooker, he's a Heisman finalist for sure. I love Bryce Young, but the Bama game, Hendon outplayed Bryce Young, and you rarely see that happen. And the duo between Hooker and Jalen Hyatt, it's like a Burrow and Jamar Chase relationship that I kind of see. Every time Hyatt gets the ball, something good happens. I mean, we saw it in the Bama game. He had 6 receptions, 5 of them were touchdowns.
We're actually all in the same boat here because I think the game could be a lot more interesting than people think as well. But Tennessee is the #1 scoring offense in the country at 50.1 points per game. Kentucky is the #9 scoring defense in the country, allowing only 16.43 points per game. But let's look at Kentucky's schedule. Lost both games against SEC opponents with less than 3 losses, Ole Miss and South Carolina, given they were low-scoring games. But the old adage is defense wins championships, but offense wins games. So give me the Vols.
It's going to be a great one. And back to the Big 12 as Kansas State looks to avenge a loss last weekend at TCU, but Oklahoma State is hot. Who's coming out on top?
This Kansas State team, I think they're elite. I think this team is very good. You look at their 2 losses, one of them being against a 7-1 Tulane squad that is very good. The other one being against Texas, or excuse me, being against TCU last weekend, another good team where they lost not only their starting quarterback, but also their backup quarterback. I think this Kansas State team's rushing attack will be good. They are #1 in the Big 12 at that, and Oklahoma State has the worst defense in the Big 12. For those reasons, give me Kansas State at home.
Well, as much as I love to disagree with Blake, I am also going to take Kansas State. And I know they played TCU last weekend and they got beat, but TCU is a great team this year, and Kansas State still competed. So I don't think they're losing this game unless Adrian Martinez is out.
Well, I brought up scoring offense just a moment ago, and let's go back to it. Oklahoma State is ranked 4th in points per game at 43.9 every single time out. Now, obviously, Kansas State can compete as long as Adrian Martinez is competing. But with the lower leg injury, knee problems, all that stuff, and he may not even play, that's the question up in the air. I take the Pokes.
It's going to be a tough one for Kansas State today. But now the mighty Buckeyes are at Penn State. Ohio State looks unstoppable this season, but Penn State only has 1 loss to Michigan. What do you think? Are the Nittany Lions going to win?
Yes, they are. And I'm going to ask everybody, do you believe in miracles? What happened in 2016, Ohio State came in as a 19.5-point favorite. They were up 14 points at one point in that game. Everybody thought Penn State was dead in the water. What happened, though? They won off a field goal block return for a touchdown. Similar result here today in University Park. Penn State pulls off a massive upset at home.
Well, Blake, I'm glad you believe in miracles, but let's be honest here, not many people are playing as great as Ohio State is playing this year. And C.J. Stroud, I mean, another Heisman contender. There are so many great quarterbacks. They're all playing so great this year, and it's a race.
As we are Penn State, right? No, I'm going OHIO. Give me the Buckeyes. I think they're going to win this one.
All right. Well, moving on, and finally, right back where we started, the Sooners face a spooky test in Ames today. Will the Sooners become 1 win away from being bowl eligible?
They will. Fun stat for you. This is the first time OU is not ranked playing Iowa State since 1999. It's been that long. I'm taking the Sooners, though. Dillon Gabriel coming off his best game of the season. Sooners continue to roll. Boomer Sooner.
I'm not betting on the second worst defense in the Big 12 right now. You heard me talk about him earlier. I'm solely choosing Iowa State for Xavier Hutchinson and Hunter Dekkers.
Well, you're wrong because the Sooners are a top 10 offense with Dillon Gabriel on the field. So as long as he's playing, I'm picking the Sooners.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. For Ashley Vandevelde and the whole team, Carly Murray, Parker Abels, and Jimmy Wicks here with Blake Mullen, Hallie Moss, and Dylan Rivera. Have an excellent game day and enjoy some college football.
Is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood,